My ex could make me feel alive. You can't, she told me over dinner, thinking I'd beg to keep her, but I packed up, said nothing, and disappeared from her life. Now she's crying for my attention while he's cheating on her, and I don't even answer the phone. Hey viewers, before we move on to the video, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button if you want to see more stories like this. Thanks. I always thought relationships weren't about grand gestures, but about the small, steady things that built trust. That's the way I loved Lisa. I wasn't flashy, I wasn't reckless, and I sure as hell wasn't the type to make her jealous just to keep her interested. I worked, I came home, I listened when she vented about her job, I remembered the little things she mentioned months ago, and tried to turn them into surprises later. That's what made the whole thing sting the way it did. Lisa wasn't always like this. When we first started dating, she used to say I made her feel grounded. After a string of toxic relationships, I was the calm in her storm. She'd say things like, I feel safe with you. You don't play games. It's different, and I need that. And I believed her. Fast forward 2 years, and I started noticing her tone changing. It was subtle at first, the way she'd glance at her phone and smirk when she thought I wasn't looking. The way she rolled her eyes when I suggested a quiet night in, like that wasn't enough anymore. She started tossing around phrases like, I just want to feel alive again, as if stability had become a cage. Still, I kept trying. The weekend before everything went down, I overheard her telling a friend on the phone how tired she was of predictable. That word sat in my chest like a brick. Predictable. That was me. The guy who showed up, who never let her down. Apparently, that wasn't good enough anymore. So I came up with an idea. Months earlier, she had mentioned how she'd always wanted to visit this little mountain town 2 hours away. She said it offhandedly while scrolling through photos online, pointing at some cozy cabins with fireplaces and hiking trails nearby. I remembered, filed it away, and when work finally calmed down, I booked us a weekend there. I thought it was perfect. Private, quiet, beautiful, and, honestly, a chance to reconnect. I didn't tell her right away. I wanted it to be a surprise. I made dinner at home, nothing fancy, just pasta and wine, and waited for the right moment to tell her. I pictured her face lighting up when I revealed it. I thought maybe she'd throw her arms around me and say, this is exactly what I needed. That was the version of her I remembered. But the Lisa sitting across from me that night wasn't the same woman I'd fallen in love with. She looked restless, tapping her nails on the table while half her attention stayed glued to her phone. Still, I smiled, pushed the tickets across the table, and said, I've got a surprise for you. Remember that mountain town you wanted to visit? I booked us a cabin this weekend. Just you and me, no work, no distractions. I thought it was the kind of gesture that would remind her of what we had. I didn't know it was about to be the moment she'd twist the knife in me harder than she ever had before. For a second, Lisa just stared at the tickets like she didn't understand what she was looking at. Then she laughed. Not a warm laugh. Not the kind where someone's touched and surprised. It was sharp, almost mocking. A cabin? In the middle of nowhere? She said, shaking her head. Seriously? I blinked, caught off guard. Yeah, you mentioned it months ago. You said it looked peaceful, that you'd love to get away somewhere quiet. I thought this would be, God, Alex, she interrupted, pushing the envelope back toward me like it was a bill she didn't want to pay. You don't get it, do you? Peaceful isn't what I need. I need to feel alive. The way she said it made my stomach drop. What do you mean? I asked carefully, though I already knew. She leaned back in her chair, arms crossed, eyes glittering with that mix of impatience and superiority I'd seen creeping into her more often lately. My ex could make me feel alive. You can't, she said flatly. No matter how hard you try with your little surprises or your safe weekends away, it doesn't change anything. With him, there was fire. With you, it's bland. I stared at her, the words landing one after another like blows. I'd braced for disappointment, maybe a joke at my expense, but not that. Not a direct comparison to the same guy she used to cry over when we first met. You're comparing me to him? My voice was low, steady. I'm just being honest, she said, shrugging like it was nothing. At least he knew how to keep me interested. You're predictable. And I can't spend my life with predictable. Her tone was almost smug, like she expected me to argue, to beg, to promise I'd do better. Instead, I sat there in silence. She shifted uncomfortably when I didn't immediately fire back. Don't look at me like that, she snapped. It's not my fault you don't know how to keep the spark alive. You're good, Alex. You're solid. But I don't want solid. I want exciting. I want passion. And if you can't give me that, she shrugged again, then maybe this isn't going to work. For a long moment, the only sound in the room was the faint hum of the refrigerator and the tick of the clock on the wall. Finally, I said, I see. That was it. No shouting, no pleading, no asking what I could change. Just 2 words. Her eyebrows furrowed. That's it. You see. Yes, I said, standing and collecting the envelope she'd pushed aside. I hear you. She scoffed. Wow. No wonder I feel the way I do. You're so passive. Any other guy would be fighting for me right now. I slipped the tickets back into the drawer and calmly poured myself another glass of wine. Inside, my chest burned, but I refused to give her the satisfaction of seeing it. You want someone else's fire? I said finally. Then go find it. The words hung in the air between us, heavier than anything else I'd said in months. She blinked, caught off guard for the first time all evening. For just a flicker of a second, her smugness faltered. Then she tossed her hair back and laughed again. Fine, she said. Don't say I didn't warn you. And with that, she stood, grabbed her phone, and walked out of the kitchen, leaving her half-finished plate on the table. I sat there staring at it, the wine tasting like ash in my mouth. That single sentence, my ex could make me feel alive. You can't, played over and over in my head until it became less of a wound and more of a revelation. Something had broken. And I knew I wasn't going to fix it. The next morning, she acted like nothing had happened. She moved around the apartment in her robe, sipping coffee, scrolling through her phone, humming along to some song like we hadn't just driven a knife through the center of our relationship. I didn't say much. I showered, got dressed, and sat at the table with my own mug of coffee, just watching her. It struck me then how little she even looked at me anymore, like I'd become background noise. Finally, I said, Lisa, we need to talk. She sighed, setting her mug down dramatically. Oh God, the serious voice. What now? I stayed calm. Last night. What you said. Do you even want to be here anymore? She tilted her head, like the question amused her. I mean, I like you, Alex. You're good for me. You're stable. You're the kind of guy any woman would be lucky to have. But not you, I said evenly. She gave a little smirk. Not enough for me, no? Look, I don't want to hurt you, but I can't help how I feel. I don't feel that spark with you. I felt it with Mark, with other guys before him. That intensity, that rush, you don't give me that. I sat back in my chair, letting her talk. You're safe, she continued, gesturing at me with her coffee like she was presenting a PowerPoint slide. And safe is nice. But safe is boring. I'm 31, Alex. I don't want to settle into boring yet. I want to feel alive. I want passion adventure. I want someone who can keep me on my toes. Not someone who plans mountain cabin getaways like we're already retired. I held her gaze quiet. She frowned. Say something. You're just sitting there like a statue. What do you want me to say? I asked. I don't know. Fight for me. Promise me you'll change. Show me you care. I shook my head slowly. You already made it clear. You want someone else. I'm not going to beg you to pick me over your idea of excitement. Her face twisted, frustration creeping in. So that's it. You're just giving up. No, I said calmly. You gave up. I'm just accepting it. She laughed harshly. Unbelievable. You're proving my point right now. You're too calm, too dull. Any other man would be furious, demanding answers. You just sit there sipping your coffee like we're discussing the weather. I took a long sip and set the mug down deliberately. Then maybe you should go find that other man. For a moment, silence. Her mouth opened like she wanted to snap back, but no words came. Finally, she huffed and stood up. You'll regret this, Alex. You're throwing away someone who actually cared about you. When you realize how lonely it is out there, don't come crawling back to me. I stood too, but my voice stayed level. Don't worry. I won't. Her eyes narrowed, like she wanted that to sting. But I didn't give her the reaction she was hunting for. I just picked up my keys, walked to the door, and left her standing there in the kitchen with her untouched coffee. I didn't slam the door. I didn't look back. That was the last morning we lived together. By the end of the week, I had packed my things and moved out quietly. No scene, no argument, no emotional explosion. Just a quiet disappearance from her life. And if she thought I'd be the one crawling back, She was about to learn just how wrong she was. Moving out felt surreal. One week, I was cooking dinner in our kitchen. The next, I was unpacking boxes in a small but clean apartment on the other side of town. I didn't announce it. I didn't make a social media post. I just disappeared from her life. For the first couple weeks, it was quiet. She didn't call, didn't text, which told me everything. She had someone else lined up. I learned soon enough through mutual friends. Lisa was seeing Mark again, the same ex who'd left her shattered years before. The one she'd sworn was toxic and manipulative. The one she once thanked me for saving her from. Now, he was suddenly her spark. Friends tried to sugarcoat it when they told me, like they didn't want to hurt me. But I wasn't surprised. Honestly, I felt more relief than pain. She had finally made the choice she'd been hinting at for months. And then the story started trickling back. Mark was still Mark. He was charming at first, showering her with the intensity she craved. But then came the possessiveness, the jealousy, the nights he disappeared without explanation. Lisa complained to mutual friends, but not to me. I didn't hear it directly, just through the grapevine. I didn't react. I kept my silence. Instead, I focused on myself. I hit the gym, not obsessively, but consistently. I put in extra hours at work and landed a promotion. I picked up a new hobby, photography, something I'd always wanted to try. Slowly, I felt myself expanding beyond the box Lisa had tried to keep me in. Months passed, then almost a year. By then, I barely thought about her. But karma has a way of circling back. One night, a buddy of mine texted, "Dude, you won't believe this. Mark dumped Lisa. Apparently, he was cheating on her the whole time. She's losing it." I didn't reply, but inside, I knew the wheel had turned. The first message came 2 days later. "Lisa, hey, just wanted to see how you're doing." I ignored it. A week later, "Lisa, I was thinking about you today. Remember that cabin trip you wanted to take? I should have gone. I realize that now." Still nothing. Then came the calls. I let them go to voicemail. Her voice cracked once. "Alex, please. I know I messed up. He wasn't who I thought he was. You always made me feel safe, and I threw it away. Can we just talk?" I didn't respond. Her desperation grew. She showed up outside my new place once, waiting by my car. "Alex," she said, forcing a smile like nothing had happened. "Can we talk for just 5 minutes?" I crossed my arms. "Why?" "Because I made a mistake," she said quickly. "I thought I wanted excitement, passion, all of that. But it was fake. Mark used me. You were the only real thing I had, and I was too stupid to see it." I let the words hang. I could see the panic in her eyes when I didn't jump in. "Don't you miss us?" she asked, voice trembling now. "We had something good. You always cared. You always made me feel secure. I didn't know how to appreciate it back then." I shook my head. "No, Lisa, I don't miss us." Her face fell. "You don't mean that," she whispered. "I do," I said calmly. "I gave you everything once. You told me it wasn't enough. And you were right, it wasn't enough. Not for you, but for someone else. It will be. And that's where I'm going. Forward. Without you." Her expression twisted, anger bleeding through the desperation. "So that's it. You're just going to throw me away? After everything I meant to you?" I leveled my gaze at her. "You threw me away first. Remember?" She opened her mouth, closed it, then turned on her heel, muttering under her breath. That was the last time I saw her. A few months later, I was at a mutual friend's party with someone new. Someone who laughed at my jokes, who appreciated the small things, who didn't need chaos to feel alive. Lisa was there too, alone. Our eyes met briefly across the room. She looked tired, worn down, older somehow. She gave a half-hearted wave, but I just nodded politely and turned back to the woman beside me. That was the final nail. The unspoken truth. Lisa wasn't my problem anymore. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button. What do you think about this story? Share it in the comments.